I ignored my destiny once. I cannot do that again. Even for you. I'm the only one who knows that. At least I'm the only one with the will to act on it.
The Mad Titan Podcast with your host, Jay Washington.
What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It is episode 74 of the Mad Titan Podcast. Me, resident supervillain, Mr. Jay Washington. I know it's been like a week and a half since I've been here, but I've been busy. I was ripping and running, and then I went and visited my daughter for her 7th birthday. And then it wasn't a lot to talk about. And plus, you know, black people keep getting killed, so it's hard to really focus on talking comic book news. But I'm going to do it today. And then I'm also going to do it with two great friends of mine who I'm happy to just see. Y'all can't see this, but I can see it and I can see them. And they haven't had haircuts in a year. And it's like, they don't look bad though. Like they look like two good people. Like it just looked like their haircuts are saying life. But the reason they are back more so just for me to catch up with them, they are on volume 2 of their hit comic. I will call it that. Jupiter Jet is Jupiter Jet in the Forgotten Radio. So you know that means I have Ashley Victoria Robinson and Jason Inman with me. Hey, y'all.
First of all, it's so lovely to see my bestie like this. It's been so long since we've hugged, we've hung out. I miss you. I adore you. And I just want to say, if anyone's feeling guilty about the fact that all these nice black people are dying, just send Mr. Jay Washington an extra little tip. He could put his good news.
Something like if you just want to feel bad about it, just go ahead. I'll take it. I'm not going to say no to anything. I mean, because right now it's just between that and trying to go back to work, which ain't happening no time soon. But that's another subject.
Yeah.
I will say it's always an honor and a pleasure to come here, sir. And speaking of the hair, I've been told that I'm at Mission Impossible 2 Tom Cruise level.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Close to it. So I'm going to go hanging off of rocks in New Mexico because that's safe social distancing. But also, if you're listening to the Mad Titan, you should definitely go donate to Black Lives Matter. Fun fact, it is the charity I have donated the most to this year.
And maybe ever at this point.
Actually, yeah. Actually, it is. Yeah.
That's so dope. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad I know you guys, I know your hearts and I know how wonderful you all are. And I know how much we all want everything to change. And Ashley, you've been vocal about it being like, I can't vote in y'all election, but y'all need to do some shit.
Somebody accused me of being complicit in voter fraud from saying that I can't wait to vote. So that's the energy that we're going into this year with. But yes, please, I can't vote. But if you are conflicted, I can tell you who to vote for. It's a really easy answer this time.
I think we all can. I think we all really can. But let's talk about Jupiter Jet, man. You guys, second volume. The first one was so well received and so damn near critically acclaimed in a sense that people who got it loved it. So how did you guys decide to take the path that you took with this one as a difference in a sense from the first one?
Oh, man. So the plot of Jupiter Jet Volume 2 and the focus of the book is something that we had decided back when we were doing Volume 1 in the bygone days. And a little behind the scenes Easter egg, a lot of people might not know this, Mr. Jay Washington actually packed a ton of those rewards and packaged up those packages with his bare hands sitting in our living room.
And we even told him the plot of Volume 2 back then.
Because he is a good man and he is a good friend and hasn't spoiled it for anybody. So we've had it in the works for a long time. And the reason that we're doing it now is because remember when we could go to cons? And
that was a thing?
We could be outside and we had a ton of people who would come by and they would compliment us and they would ask us what was going to happen to Volume 2, when was Volume 2 coming? And we decided last year we didn't want people to stop asking. So it felt like a good moment to finally dive into Jackie's sophomore adventure.
That's perfect. Yeah. When you got people asking you about it and you can't do the one thing that was reaching everybody anymore. I mean, they're virtual Comic-Cons, but I've done a couple of them, but we both have, and you just it's not the same. Like you get it. It's what they're trying to do, but it's like, it's not the same.
But I'll say this. Yeah. I actually think that when real Comic-Cons come back, I would love to still keep doing virtual Comic-Cons because it still allows you to reach an audience, because we have a problem. We can't ever do cons on the East Coast because
in the UK,
the plane
or
ticket
Australia.
is so expensive. But with a
Right.
virtual con, we can reach anybody in the world. So even when cons come back, I want real physical cons to come back, but I also want virtual cons to like still go, because
I think they will.
yeah.
I think they will.
I think they've proven, like DC did a virtual con, and Star Trek did a virtual con, and then Mainframe's doing all these virtual cons. I think they're not going anywhere.
See, the thing is, I've been saying this with a lot of people, though. I think what DC did with Phantom will change San Diego Comic-Con forever, because now they've proven we don't have to spend all this money anymore. We don't have to fly and put talent out, bring talent out, put them up, and all this other stuff. We don't have to have a bunch of promotional items. People can literally stay at home and do that. And then Marvel is already under Disney's D23, so they're like, we good. What if everything is quote unquote normal and okay? What San Diego Comic-Con is next year is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll go back to what it was about the comics.
Oh yeah, I think so.
The name.
I mean, but we've seen it for the past several years,
Yeah.
how it's become more about pop culture more than anything else. Like their TV shows, they make sure they promote. That's like, this has nothing to do.
Well, isn't it like the accepted theory that like Twilight in like 2011 was the one that like turned it? Because like Twilight went to Comic-Con and everybody was like, why is Twilight going to Comic-Con?
People cite either Twilight or the Wanted panel, because Wanted, they brought out Angelina Jolie, and she was like the biggest star
Yeah.
that they had out at the time.
Wanted is just a straight movie. It's not based on a comic.
It is based on a
based on a
comic,
comic.
Oh,
yeah.
that makes sense. So that makes sense. You know,
But I
what I'm
think it
saying?
was because they brought the movie stars with it.
Oh, okay, I got what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
But it's changed everything. But again, I'm hoping. I know you guys are doing pre-orders now for people who want to get those. So we're gonna tell them now and then tell them again at the end. So tell people now, so if they want to just stop and pause this, how they can pre-order.
Heck yeah. So if you don't want to leave your home, the easiest way to do that is you go hop on over to Amazon and you type in Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, because we do subtitles. We don't do volume numbers, and that'll lead you right to the pre-order page. You can also call up your nice local comic book store, your local bookstore. They can get that for you. Or if you are a digital comics person, Comixology has pre-orders available as well. So anywhere fine comics are found, you can find Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio.
Look at y'all making sure you cover all bases.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I mean, again, in this day and age, you have to make sure you cover your bases to keep your businesses, even though, you know, we're private. We're freelancers. We're independent contractors. We're doing things on our own. You know, Jason, you out here being a superstar in writers' rooms and everything. But Ashley, you
I was like, I'm not a freelancer right now.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm asking you
Jay and I are on that
All
freelancer
right,
line,
we're on that page.
hoping for those entertainment partners royalty checks to come in.
Man, I'm just hoping for another big booking or something. I need to book. I'm like, I can book smaller things. I need to book. Look, I will do all of the COVID protocols and tests to be a series regular or a reoccurring character on the show at this point. But nonetheless, we'll talk more about that. You guys are two of my favorite people to talk about this stuff with. For those who are new to the podcast, what I do is get you caught up on all the things happening in the Marvel and DC live action cinematic universes. So I always kick it off with my Marvel news. And I'm kind of glad I've waited and had news to build up. So it will be the first time in 11 years that we will not have a Marvel movie in theaters at all.
Thank God.
I will say,
Really?
Thank God. That's what I
Really?
say. Yes. Look, Marvel was getting very close to being Star Wars. And by it, I'm going to explain that statement. Marvel, if you remember, Star Wars was like, okay, we're going to put out one movie a year. Then it was like, now we're going to put out 2 movies a year. Then we're going to put out 3 movies a year. Then we're going to put out 4 movies a year and a show. And it led up to this giant build to Solo. And every movie they kept putting out was a little bit more mediocre and a little bit more mediocre and even more mediocre. And they tainted their audience to where they stopped making Star Wars movies. Marvel was getting very close to that same point. Because
I can see where you're going with that.
I don't care what your machine is. You cannot produce art or movies or stories like it's a factory. And that's what Marvel was getting very close to
Andy
doing.
Warhol would respectfully disagree
Well,
with you.
Andy
But
Warhol.
I think
Yeah.
But I think
And
the thing
4
with that
movies,
is
4 movies a year plus 4 TV shows, too much.
But I think the problem with that is they had the formula that would back it up. Like it was working.
I disagree.
We knew every movie wasn't going to be $1 billion, right? We knew it. But we knew that each movie, we started learning, okay, this is just a plot piece in the bigger story. So if it didn't crack $1 billion, it was okay. But then you got the TV shows, because remember, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be the show at first to connect you in between movies. And then Jeff Loeb then was like, nah, we just gonna have it do its own thing. Well, now the TV shows are stay-at-home 8-hour movies. And so people, I mean, I don't think the thing is like comic book fans want it so much. And again, think about how elated the universe got when the Fox deal finally went through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, oh, now we can get these characters. So that's where I gotta disagree with you, Jason. I mean, I get what you're saying, but the audience never let down.
Well, I will say this, and I've said this on a lot of podcasts lately. Fans, can I curse on this podcast, Jay?
How many times you?
All right,
yeah.
Fans don't know what they fucking want. You never write to the fans, because if you let the fans control the industry, then you get things like Solo. And I'm going to keep bringing that stupid movie up because that movie sucks. And if you defend that movie, you are insane. But,
I can't.
But I've always said for a long time that anticipation is a very important factor. And I understand that you want to tell a lot of stories, you want to do it for different things. Cool. I mean, I'm a comic book fan just like you, but the Marvel model totally works. And I totally understand it. And from an executive standpoint, I understand why you're like more. But from a creative standpoint, I have already seen several Marvel movies at this point that have left me wanting a lot. And they have been, I would be lucky to call them B+. And to me, I don't want B+ comic book movies. I want A+ comic book movies. I want Avengers Endgames. I want Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I want Iron Man #1. I want Black Panther. I want movies like that. I don't need Birds of Prey. I don't need Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't need these. I want every creative thing to be A+. But when you're on a deadline and you're forcing creativity, you're always going to force out a mediocre product. So to be honest with you, I actually think the year off is actually, I think, going to actually work in Marvel's favor, because it's going to make everybody be like, man, I wasn't really excited for Black Widow, but now I am. And
I'm excited for Shang-Chi.
Well, I am for Shang-Chi. I'm not just for, but like, I think absence makes the heart go fonder.
You can't tell me nothing. They're bringing in a fucking dragon. I'm like, yeah.
But anyways, I think the break is actually going to be very helpful to Marvel. I just hope the lesson they learn from it is that less is more.
But I don't think that's the case, because we're waiting on the full casting announcement, which I'll talk about in a minute, for Miss Marvel, who that's going to be. We're waiting to find out who Moon Knight is going to be. Loki's back filming in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So like all these different things, they're already set. And remember, these are movies that we're just talking about slowed down production.
Not you just named like 3 TV shows.
Right. But again, I'm about to go to the movies. Shang-Chi is actually filming in Australia.
Yep.
One of the stories I was about to talk about later, Thor: Love and Thunder is going to have to film in Australia because it was supposed to film in New South Wales, something like that. What else? Eternals is done. Black Widow's done. I think that was the last one as of right now they filmed, because everything else is in development.
Or pre-production, yeah.
In pre-production, yes. In pre-pro or things like that. It's just going to be interesting. But again, so Black Widow now goes to May 7th, 2021. The Eternals goes to, Eternals, not the Eternals. Eternals goes to November 5th, 2021. Shang-Chi goes to July 9th, 2021. I wonder if these move arounds, Black Widow has to keep coming out first, clearly. That's the one thing they've made it clear. Black Widow has to come out first no matter what. But I wonder, does it really matter with Shang-Chi and Eternals now?
It depends, right? It depends on how well this phase is planned and how tied in it is. Because like Marvel Phase 1, it's not super tied in. There's like little Easter eggs, right? Like Nick Fury shows up in all the stingers, and Scarlett Johansson is in a couple of those movies, but they're pretty standalone. But if this is more like a Phase 2 or 3, then yes, they have to be this order, this order, this order, this order.
I wonder if just all their end credit scenes will like set up the next movie.
That's my
because if you remember, like Iron Man 2's end credit scene was, oh, we found the hammer, and the next movie was Thor, and then Thor's end credit scene was
Loki taking the Tesseract, wasn't it?
No, I think that was Captain America's, which set up
Captain America's.
Wait, I don't know. They all get confusing, but they all the end credit scenes basically was just like, oh, here's a preview of the very next Marvel movie, and I have a feeling that all those, like Shang-Chi will probably reference Eternals somehow. In the credits.
Because like Eternals for me is my must-see movie out of all of this, because I still have a belief, because I believe Eternals is the key to the mutants.
Do you have a theory? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
So it goes back to Endgame.
Okay.
Where remember when what's left of the Avengers are together, and how Rocket tells everybody when Thanos snapped, a cosmic blast of radiation went everywhere, right? The snap happens 1, 2, like 4 or 5 times total in that movie, something like that, right? The Eternal story is that they were these Eternals, and as time went past, their memories were suppressed until something unlocks it to let them know who they are. What could unlock it can be the snap, and again, if it's multiple snaps that have happened, that unlocks that, which also cosmic mutations happen.
Do you think do you think the ending of the Eternals MCU movie is that they're gonna like retcon the Eternals into basically being like, you're mutants?
I can see that. And
you know what, dude?
Because it would work.
This is why I love you, because I'm gonna say this right now, and I've said this several times. There is no good Eternal comic book series. There isn't. It does not exist. Even the one written by Sandman himself, Pulitzer Prize winner Neil Gaiman couldn't write a good Eternals comic book, because the Eternals are ripoffs of the DC New Gods, which are ripoffs of Thor from Marvel. It's Jack Kirby ripping off himself 3 times. So, and they're all like, they're muddled in all this cosmic mud gobbledygook nonsense that they were experimented on by the Celestials and all this other stuff. Your retcon is like the best explanation I've heard, and actually, to be honest with you, the one I want to see the most of how you get mutants into the MCU. To be honest with you, if Eternals ends with them being like, we're mutants, I am in.
Jay Washington gets a consulting producer.
Yeah, you need to get some money out of that.
Because you think about it, the reality and the world has changed now.
Yeah.
Again, everything was normal until the snap. And then when he changed reality to get rid of half of everybody, they had to change it back. And so you have all, because the first snap is he gets rid of everybody. The second snap is I use the stones to get rid of the stones. That same energy still applies though. The third snap is now we bring everybody back. This changes everything, and it opens the door, because everybody was like, well, what happens? Because everybody first was like, well, you mean to tell me the mutants were just in New York the whole time when the battle happened? Like, no. Reality is different now. Spider-Man Far From Home has already told you reality is different. There's kids who didn't age and who've aged. You know what I'm saying? So
that's true.
Reality is completely different now. So the door is open for that. But that's why Eternals is the one for me. Because it sets up and then the fact you just got Jonathan Majors announced as Kang, which that's Ant-Man and the Wasp. So again, you have that, and because he goes so many places. Because now with WandaVision, if Bova is that picture on the wall, that's the high evolutionary. We're talking about the Eternals. Doors are already open for everything.
I think WandaVision, I think they're going to do what the comics do. They're going to use Scarlet Witch's powers to like reset whatever they want. We're going to get some version of, but not exactly No More Mutants, where whatever thing they want to happen that they can't figure out how to hand wave away, Wanda's just going to have a nervous breakdown and be like, Wolverine was here all along.
Well, that's what I think. The one I'm the most excited for is actually Doctor Strange 2.
In the Multiverse of Madness,
Because they've talked about for a very long time, and it's been rumored that Scarlet Witch is the villain of that movie.
Yes, it is. She is. She's the villain.
And so I love that because if WandaVision is sort of her House of M, where she goes crazy and snaps, because my prediction of WandaVision is that she is, the entire series is her trying to rebuild Vision because she has to recreate the Soul Gem and
the Mind Stone. The
Mind Stone, excuse me. And then the entire series is that she can't do it. I think the end of WandaVision is going to be, I can't figure it out. And so I think it's going to break her.
As long as it gives us the twins. I don't care what WandaVision.
Oh, the twins are
what else
definitely
they
there.
do. I love the twins.
In the trailer of WandaVision, we see them, but I think that's going to be a momentary thing.
I love Billy and I love Tommy so much. And in the earliest, remember the concept art that came out of D23 last year? There was like 2 pacifiers, and I was like, the twins, Young Avengers! I can't wait.
Well, Kang's also a pretty big wink to Young Avengers as well.
Yes, because he has Ireland.
Yeah.
When I actually heard about Kang, I was like, did they cast a teenager? Because if not, I don't care.
No, they made a really good choice. He's from Lovecraft Country, right?
Last Black Man in San Francisco, Lovecraft Country, The Five Bloods, but also this is how dope that Kang announcement is, because again, it works in the perfect movie. People keep not understanding. Not only are we talking about the quantum realm, Cassie. We keep forgetting about Cassie Lang.
Well, and we also now have Kate in the Hawkeye series.
That's another series we still
got. The twins in WandaVision.
Miss Marvel's getting her
now.
own
Here's the real thing: is Patriot? What's his name?
Elijah.
Elijah.
The kid from Black Panther at the end that everybody said that's who he was.
Yeah, if he is if he's secretly in Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're stealth setting up the Young Avengers.
Yeah, I've been saying this since Endgame was done. I don't think we're getting another Avengers movie for a minute.
No.
The Young Avengers, you can do that. Because
and then put Miss Marvel. She's going to be in the. They're going to put her in the Young Avengers too.
Yeah, because she gets her show. That's what you set that up for. Because again, my biggest thing is with the announcement of Jonathan Majors as Kang. Everybody was like, "Oh shit, is Kang the big bad for these next 2 phases?" No, which sucks because you have somebody as powerful as Kang who's not going to be your bad guy. I really, in my heart, believe now because you announced him in Ant-Man 3. Your big bad for this next 2 phases is Dr. Doom. Plain and simple.
I agree. And that would make the best. That's the best choice, I think, as well, because the from a story reason, I love Kang, and I understand your point of like, he's a great villain, but we just did the big cosmic villain.
We're obviously not going to do Galactus, who's sort of the next bigger,
I think
badder.
they're saving Galactus.
I hope so.
You go Doom to Galactus.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because you like have the Silver Surfer show up somewhere in between the two.
You can have a reference to Doom in every single movie for the next phase. Yeah.
Again, remember Wakanda started getting dropped in gems.
Yeah.
That
Stephen Strange too was mentioned a couple times before the Doctor Strange movie. Look, as long as Giancarlo Esposito plays Reed, that's all I need.
If you know what, if he is Reed Richards, that would be a shock for me.
He said he wants to be in the MCU, and I'm sorry, like I don't want Jim from The Office to play Mr. Fantastic, and
I don't either.
I think they need to be the elder statespeople of the universe. They need to be mom and dad of the MCU. And Giancarlo Esposito can really play like a warm, soft, fatherly figure, but he can also play a real fucking asshole.
You and I have talked about this because you know that I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. In fact, nobody can see this right now, but behind us is like a thing of all our pins, and I have a giant Galactus pin and a giant Dr. Doom pin back there on the wall. For the longest time, I have wanted Oscar Isaacs to play Mr. Fantastic, but I have a brand new choice, a little bit inspired by Kang, because in the comic books, it's rumored, it's never confirmed, but it's rumored that Immortus, who is future Kang, is either the father of Reed Richards or Dr. Doom. It's never been confirmed which one he's the father of.
Well, they go more so they try to lean it with the Richards, but I think because they try to lean it with the Richards, it's Doom.
Well, it's funny. The current writer of Dr. Doom, I was talking to him on Twitter, and he said right now that actually in current continuity, they're leaning it more that he's the father of Dr. Doom. But either way, that kind of inspired me that I was like, okay, who is somebody that is black, who I think can tell. Because my big caveat for Reed Richards is he has to be the smartest person in the world, but he also has to be the most compelling, because he's the guy that when he says his technobabble, you're like, oh yeah, I'll follow you into hell. And that to me,
wait, say that again, because I dropped out, so I didn't hear you. Said,
it's fine.
You have to be the smartest person in the world.
You have to be the smartest person in the world, but you could be the smartest person in the world, and if you're saying technobabble, you have to be compelling. You have to be dynamic, because that's the reason why Sue, Johnny, and Ben hop in that rocket with them and shoot themselves into danger. So he's compelling. He's charming.
So who are you thinking?
Yahya Abdul-Mateen II.
Emmy winner.
Well, for me,
even though he's Black Manta, I don't give a fuck.
And Dr. Manhattan.
And Dr. Manhattan.
My only thing about Yahya, for me personally, I would have Yahya replace Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, interesting.
Because a lot of people keep saying John David Washington. I'm like, no.
I don't know. Would you rather see him recast, or would you rather just see T'Challa goes away for a little bit?
So what you do is you don't he's gone going into Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
Shuri takes the mantle.
Yeah.
Shuri has it. When you end credits Black Panther 2, the new T'Challa comes.
Okay.
Because again, it's just like in the comic. She takes the mantle, he comes back, he takes it back.
He comes back from the land of the dead. Yeah.
I'll give you
Jay, you so smart.
I'll give you Yahya, and if that's the case, then I'm going to take another Watchmen actor who I think is just as good, and that is I'm just looking over here to make sure I have his name. Jovan Adepo. He played the young Will Reeves in Watchmen. He was the flashback Will Reeves.
Yeah.
I think he'd be solid as well.
Because also, here's another thing about the Fantastic Four that I've kept saying. The Fantastic Four we see has to be the Fantastic Four from the 50s and 60s.
Yes, yes.
They
100%.
have to come out of the quantum realm. They cannot they've been around this whole time. They have to be trapped. I think that is the reason we've been doing this whole quantum realm thing, not just so much for the whole time heist in Endgame, is because instead, again, at the time, if you're Disney and Marvel, you're like, we could possibly get the Fantastic Four. What's the way we can bring them in?
Well, and that's something that you and I have agreed on for a long time, because that's how you get the Jack Kirby style. But here's another way. If you cast Reed Richards as a Black man, you can suddenly make Fantastic Four so relevant. And that is, so they're from the 60s, right? What is the reason why we've never heard of the Fantastic Four? Because nobody wanted to talk about a Black man, a smart Black man in the 60s.
Or 4 Black heroes.
Yep. Yeah. Or they're all Black. Yeah. That makes the Fantastic Four. And as a Fantastic Four fan, I love that.
If we're making them all Black, then I'm going to say it right now. # Jay Washington for Ben Grimm.
Oh!
I would love to be Ben Grimm. Like, and I know for a fact, people that are listening are going to, hit me up on the email and stuff. And like, why do we have to take characters and turn them Black just because? Like, it's not just because, again, when you cast Kang, you have opened up that door automatically.
Yeah, and the discussion deserves to be had.
To me,
we can do Asians next if we want.
The argument I would give to any fan that makes that argument is, I'm a huge Daredevil fan. No ginger has ever played Matt Murdock, and Matt Murdock is a damn ginger. So get over it. Like, to me,
Chris Evans is not blonde.
To me, unless it's a character like T'Challa, that the race is an important part of its character. Right. And I would even make this argument for Superman. I have no problem with Superman being a Black man. Because
he's an alien.
Because he's an alien. Who cares what the color of his skin is?
Also, Krypton opened that door for us real quick.
Yep.
General Zod was Black.
Yeah.
Best Zod ever.
So
I'm going to say that
as
right
long
now.
as there's not a story reason for why they're a certain race, then who cares?
So people will trip about that. So let's see. I knocked that out. WandaVision we talked about.
Yep.
We have a She-Hulk. And I think
she's shorter than I am.
She's a great choice.
She's a great choice. It's just going to be weird.
She was astounding in Perry Mason, if anybody hasn't seen it. She's so good.
Phenomenal in Orphan Black.
Yep. They'll pop her on an Apple box. It'll be fine.
Yep. I saw somebody share a BBC show that apparently she's like jacked. It might be from Orphan Black. And as soon as I saw that picture, I was like,
she plays a fitness instructor.
Yeah. But she is like, She has like biceps bigger than mine in that picture. And I was like, that's She-Hulk.
I mean, it's not a bad, because it was one of those things that everybody, when the announcement was made that it was Tatiana Maslany, everybody was like, but y'all kept saying you wanted an Allison Brie type, and Allison Brie has been waiting on a phone call. Like, if I'm Allison Brie, I'm hurt because I'm hearing all the news that you're looking for a type that's like me,
Sure.
but not me.
I bet she priced herself out of that gig.
She probably did.
I'm gonna call that because look, I saw that and I look nothing like Allison Brie, and I emailed that to my rep and I was like, please tell them I look like Allison Brie. I would like to play She-Hulk.
You know, I was like, yeah. So yeah, we got that. They're casting a couple of main characters for Moon Knight, even though we still don't have our Mark Spector. They're casting for Frenchie and they're casting for Marlene Alrane. I don't know if I said it right. It might happen. It might not have been. Either way. Sure. I think those questions of who those people are, who's playing those roles, because they said, like I said earlier, we're supposed to get the Miss Marvel announcement. Mm-hmm. Remember, like months ago, the big thing was Keanu Reeves has been talking to Marvel, and nobody knows.
He'd be a great Mark Spector. Yeah,
I think he'd be a great Mark Spector because, especially seeing John Wick, I think he'd be a great Mark Spector.
You think he'll sign on for a streaming show? I mean, I know it's not unheard of, like plenty of movie stars have done a streaming show, but Keanu up to this point has avoided it. But he is a nerd. So I don't know.
Marvel's, but you got to think about, we're talking about Marvel Studios as streaming shows, which are like movies anyway.
And their brand is pretty powerful. So I totally understand that.
Powerful, so why wouldn't you sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to go with you guys? So let's go over to DC news right now. And this is the number one thing I have to talk about. And I really don't want to talk about it, but it's this show. And it's the Snyder Cut. Now.
Oh, I heard this news.
Yeah, I refuse to talk about this out loud.
I don't think you've heard this news.
Oh, I've heard it.
Oh, you did?
I think actually Jay had my favorite tweet about it where he was like, that's a whole ass movie budget.
Maybe you should explain what the news is.
So this is what I'm talking about. It was just announced that Zack Snyder is doing reshoots. Now, first and foremost, remember the big thing about the Snyder Cut was that it's a complete movie already. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest thing. It just needed a few visual effects done, and that was it, right? Now he's doing reshoots where he needs back Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, who says he's not supposed to be doing it, and Ray Fisher.
Ooh, I didn't know he needed Ray Fisher.
So Ray Fisher said that he is going to do the reshoots, even though he is in the litigation with Marvel, with Warner Brothers.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he's going to do his reshoots. Yeah, but
I saw his statement.
Instead of like 30 to 40 mil, what they expected, the budget has now gone up to $70 million for this.
And all of that is on digitally putting mustaches on every single member of the Justice League.
We could make 70 movies for $70 million, the three of us.
You are not going to tell me that that is a whole
new movie.
That's a whole new movie. Might as well.
They're just gonna pay oh my God, Harry Lennox. They're just gonna pay him to show up as Martian Manhunter.
I'm gonna say this: it's if you thought the shots between the Snyder and the original Whedon stuff didn't match up in terms of haircuts and people looking, it is going to be off the chain by these people being 3 years older.
Yeah, exactly. And some of them may not have maintained their superhero physique.
Ben Affleck is not going to look anything like himself back in the day. Contracts
went away. Some people have been to rehab. Some people have had babies.
Yeah, they're not going to look anything.
You have to train to get back in that shape. And this announcement just came in May. And you're telling me that they knew in May? No, because they all had other things they were doing. Granted, everybody's been sitting at home, but they were in the midst of other projects. Ben Affleck is a writer and director now.
I will say, though, just from a behind-the-scenes actual publicity and production standpoint, I bet you all these actors knew when the announcement happened, and they've only announced these reshoots now.
Oh, probably.
Because people are going to see them start driving into Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's going to make,
So I bet you they have known since May.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But
still, 3 months is not enough time to become Batman shape.
Right. And again, you are telling me $70 million. And again, this is not for the fans. I keep saying this every week. Everybody's like, oh, this is for the fans. This is not. This is because HBO Max did not have its subscriber numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't hit $70 million worth of new subscription all for nothing.
When do they have to hit $70 million of subscriptions?
Well, that would offset the cost of the $70 million for the
Oh,
reshoots.
but yeah, sure. I guess, I don't know.
That's because that's the only reason they're doing this. Everybody's like, oh, the money doesn't matter. They want to make it up in new subscriptions because that's why they're releasing it in weekly, in like 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, because you can't just get a 7-day pass and watch it, a free trial.
Yeah.
So you have to own it. So I just, people will listen and say, well, Jay, you just a hater on the whole thing. Again, when everybody kept saying the movie was done, I was like, that movie's not done.
Yeah, no way.
Everybody kept
saying, we're all going to watch it.
Yeah. I'll wait for it to finish, but I'll watch it.
We all want to see it. But
wait, back, you pros.
I'm going to say, we're all going to watch it. Every single one of us, because we want to see it.
Right.
I like so many things in this world. I'm just ready for this to be over. It's so exhausting. It's been like 5 years talking about Zack Snyder's Justice. And look, I liked the Justice League movie more than a lot of people. I like Zack Snyder. I like the cast. I just don't need to see it again.
And then you got so many people like, oh, this is going to make DC change their course and go back to what we were going to do. No.
As somebody who currently works for an entertainment company, first thing you realize is how split up the entertainment company is. The budget and the executives that are making the Snyder Cut are HBO Max executives. They are not Warner Brothers Theatrical executives. Warner Brothers Theatrical doesn't give
They wash their hands.
They don't give a damn how this movie does.
Nope.
All of us here acting like we're washing our hands, podcasting famously a visual medium.
But people, if you, ladies and gentlemen, if you hear my tone and my pitch and my enthusiasm go down, it's because my internet is terrible while I'm doing this. And at this point, I'm almost close to just calling them on the phone and recording the show.
We could do that.
So speaking of the DCEU film universe, if you want to call it, Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad is getting his own spinoff series, which is leading everybody to believe he dies in the Suicide Squad.
Of course he does.
Because his show is a prequel.
Have you seen his costume? Of course he dies.
Man dies for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half of that cast is going out in the first 10 minutes. Like they're all going to be slip-knotted. So hopefully the first death will not be a person of color like the first time around, but we'll see.
But do you think they're just killing everybody off to go back to the original cast that we had in the first Suicide Squad?
No, but I
think they're killing them off to go to what they want the team to be moving forward.
I think they're just going to make the movie like the comics, which is in the comics, people dropped in the Suicide Squad left and right. And I to be honest with you, I've been excited about this since he announced the cast and it was like 20 people because I was like, oh, awesome. Finally, a Suicide Squad movie where half the team is going to die, which is exactly what the comics are.
That's what they're supposed to do.
It's very inspired by the John Ostrander run, even from the costumes, which is the greatest and the original Suicide Squad run. So no, I think, and what I hope James Gunn is trying to do is I hope he's trying to make that he's like, hey, I get that every movie you're going to have Amanda Waller, Rick Flag, probably Harley Quinn, but the entire rest of the team should just change every movie.
Yeah, I think the only one that's for sure safe the two are Flag and Harley, because there is no
they're not going to kill her.
You killing Margot Robbie? There's no way.
Oscar winner Margot Robbie.
Did she win an Oscar?
Did she win, or was she only nominated?
I don't think she's won.
Nominated.
I don't think she's won.
Okay, Oscar. Well, Suicide Squad won, which is.
But this is the sequel to the Oscar-winning Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah. You got to say those things.
Oh boy,
yeah, you really have to say those things.
On the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I am. I am.
So let's talk about So I have yet to talk to you two about this one thing that I have really been upset about, and I've seen people on social media, namely Mark Guggenheim, be upset about. It's now called the CW verse.
Yep.
Yeah. Thoughts?
I mean, I'm a little mad about it because the Arrowverse is the best title for it. By the way, it's like just the coolest title for it. But I also understand. I can look at that and I'm like, that is a CW executive decision. That is a CW executive being like, we have to rebrand this because Arrow is no longer on the air. To be honest with you, I weirdly thought that Stephen Amell had the best tweet about it, where he said, like, it's not the Arrowverse, it's the Berlanti-verse. And I kind of was like, yep, but you can't advertise it as the Berlanti-verse.
But fans, right, and consumers who are not in the entertainment industry are interested in how the entertainment industry, which is cool. You could just be a consumer and a fan. That is 1,000% a worthy thing to do. They don't know who Greg Berlanti is. Like, Arrow is the granddaddy of that. I actually think it's a little bit disrespectful. I know Arrow is off the air. I also know Stephen Amell is not everyone's favorite personality. Like, I wonder if it's a backhand given his behavior in the last year or so, actually.
I can see that. I could definitely see that, but I think if you're gonna move on, right? If you're gonna move on from Arrow, and you automatically show you have no faith in Green Arrow and the Canaries because we don't even know what that's gonna do as of right now.
I forgot that exists.
It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen.
I pretty much figured that.
Nobody wants that pilot, and I feel bad that everybody that worked on that show no longer has a job, but nobody was asking for that show. I'm sorry.
No. But what you should have done is there's a perfect show for all of that where you could have been able to let them live. It's called Legends of Tomorrow. That is the reason.
The best.
If you needed the cast to work, throw them on Legends.
Yeah. I actually always thought that Echo Kellum should have joined Legends of Tomorrow because I thought Mr. Terrific should have been on that show.
I believe definitely he should have. If anything, when he decided to leave Team Arrow in the show, he should have gone to the Wave Rider.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, we would have that so bad. Or after they mushed all the universes together, just send them over to Freeland. I mean, Black Lightning's actually the best show on the network, but Legends in their continuity.
We'll talk about that as soon as we're done recording.
Heck yeah.
But again, so now the shows are getting ready to go back into production. Batwoman is back filming as of right now in Vancouver.
Now I'm interested in Batwoman. I can't wait, truly.
Well, I think everybody's interested now. Everybody's like, so because for me, my biggest thing is I have a problem.
Sure.
The story they're going with for season 2
makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
Makes no sense that Kate Kane is missing. And then you're going to have so Batwoman will disappear for a moment, but then return as a black woman, and nobody's supposed to think twice about this. You know what I'm saying?
I think they just should have treated the first season like a complete wash and just started again.
I agree.
Just been like, that never happened.
Batwoman's been all over the CW-verse.
It's been all over the CW-verse. And remember, the crossover is Superman and Batwoman.
Oh, that's true.
I think that's going to change. I bet they're going to change that real quick.
Well, the reason people thought it might change because of Supergirl, this is her final season.
Yep.
Season 6. So here's something I was telling friends of mine, and I'll say it on the podcast, and y'all know I don't give a shit. Supergirl was supposed to end before Kreisberg left.
Oh, I mean,
we've known that.
Yeah, every season Supergirl was on, I heard Supergirl was not going to be on anymore.
But when Kreisberg left, they couldn't cancel it because we make it seem like the show needs Kreisberg to survive. Then you get stuck in this thing where you're like, well, fuck, we're doing Crisis. We have to keep her around. And now we got Superman and Lois.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really ugly people saying ugly things about Supergirl ending, and I'm not surprised it's ending. I'm truly shocked it's got 6 entire seasons under its belt, although when it was great, it was truly, really, really great.
But also, isn't it awesome that we live in the world where we got 6 seasons of a Supergirl show?
Absolutely. But
that is a good point.
Yeah.
I've seen people be like, this is proof that women can't lead a superhero show because this is the first one. Arrow wasn't canceled. Flash isn't canceled. Supergirl is the first one that is canceled.
Supergirl was 6 seasons. What are people talking about?
Because people are awful.
At this point, if you get past 4 seasons, you're...
If you can pass 1 season, you're in great shape. But the other rumor, right, is that they didn't want Supergirl and Superman butting heads because, God forbid, we had 2 super things going on at the same time.
Superman was never supposed to be a thing like this.
Yeah.
He was never supposed to be a thing. Like when they all of a sudden said we're doing a Superman and Lois show, I think everybody who watched it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because he was never supposed to be. He was supposed to be barely referenced in the first season on CBS. Then you all of a sudden said, well, we're going to bring him in. And you kept bringing him in because you were like, well, we've opened this Pandora's box.
It's because he was tied up by Warner Bros. Theatrical is why they couldn't use him.
They couldn't use him.
Yeah.
I think he was also doing like his last round on Teen Wolf when Supergirl
Probably
was first
was
on the
doing
air.
both. But you got all that. But the thing is, like, you know, because Batman's a $10 million character that requires a hell of a lot of paperwork just to use.
Yeah.
It's easier to get that paperwork for film than it is TV.
Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
especially
That's why
from an
Titans-
entity like Warner Brothers.
That is why Titans only has Bruce Wayne.
I will say though, like I fervently defend that Bruce Wayne. I really like Bruce Wayne in that universe, and I'm glad that we're not seeing Batman. I think it would overshadow too much.
My problem with the Bruce Wayne in Titans is, according to the way they talk, Batman is still active.
Yeah.
And that Bruce looks like he's retiring.
You just gotta assume he's in the Frank Miller Arbor,
Look,
protecting
man,
his knees.
Look, if you're inhaling Joker gas and fear venom,
He's like
and,
32
and you're
years
getting
old.
frozen by Mr. Freeze every single night, getting slapped by Joker fish, you'd look like hell too.
This is very true. This is very true. So yeah, I'd look like shit. They'd be like, "Yo, what happened to you?"
Until you get slapped by a Joker fish in the face, then come talk to us.
Look,
No.
Jorah
Like-
Mormont is totally hot in that like inappropriate English high school teacher way.
Yeah.
He's doing great.
The first time you see him just sitting down in the mansion and stuff, and Dick walks in, you're like,
Yeah, he's like, oh, my back.
"Oh, like, it's been a long night. I had a hard time getting out the Batmobile." Like, because he looks more like Alfred. than
Alfred,
he does
Alfred,
Bruce.
bring my walker.
Alfred, bring the Bengay. Like,
By the way, also,
They
if,
use Tiger Bomb.
also
you know it's
in-
Tiger Bomb.
as far as I know, because we haven't seen him yet in that universe, if Bruce is that old, Alfred is definitely
no,
dead.
absolutely.
it's true.
Alfred is in the grave.
He's out
What
back
if-
with the Thomas Martha.
But
Yep.
what if he just happened? What if this is the twisted thought? He rotates Alfred's like he rotates Robin's.
Oh shit! I agree. That
Like there's
explains
a
the
new
fa-
dude. His
that
dude
explains
really
the
is
fat
named
Alfred.
like William, but he brings him in. He's like, no, your name's Alfred now. Okay.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he's not Moss the Bruce. He's like, I am paying you. I'm a billionaire. And
My
a
name-
white guy. Your name is Alfred.
My name is Thomas. I'm going to call you Alfred.
Call you Alfred. Well, my name is Thomas Williamson. No, you're Alfred Pennyworth. Wait, but I have a birth certificate. I know what it said.
Just like laughing in the corner.
I like that. Head canon accepted.
Perfect. So yeah, Titans is about to go back filming in Atlanta. The Flash starts filming on the 1st of October. Legends of Tomorrow films on the 5th. Stargirl, Doom Patrol, and everybody in Atlanta are about to just, because it's Atlanta. They're like, if we can do it, we can do it.
Friend who is a producer in Atlanta, and Atlanta's like the Wild West right now. They're just so I was on set last week for an Amazon show in LA. They're very safe. I was tested for COVID 4 times in the last week. We were distanced. They gave us PPE. Like they're doing a really good job here based on my singular experience. Canada is several steps ahead of us because the population is much smaller. They have less cases. But yeah, Atlanta, man, like there's no mask enforcement. They're just like shooting movies.
Everyone kiss everyone.
Yeah. Warner Brothers is just sending all their movies there. Like, I think
When
if
I
you
did
leave
the
it
Weakest Link,
not with COVID, it is an achievement.
Yeah.
when I did the Weakest Link, the level of PPE and the way they distance you and everything, and it's like, okay, all right, I get it, but yeah, Atlanta just like gone fuck. Because what's happening is all of the studios are trying to knock out as much as they can before the official flu season hits and everything gets shut down again potentially.
Yeah, and then after that, it'll be before the holidays when everyone's just gonna leave and go to Belize or wherever.
It's interesting because Ashley actually brought this point up a couple days ago when we were talking about stuff. It'll be interesting to see when we watch all these nerd shows that are our favorites and stuff like that, to see if we can tell a show was filmed during like all these COVID safety protocols. Because the advantage that you had on a show on Weakest Link and on lots of reality shows is that, like, I mean, I've seen the Weakest Link set, like you guys are on podiums, you can measure those out, like they can make sure
you don't have to touch.
Yeah, but on a show like The Flash, characters have to hug. Characters have to kiss. Characters have to possibly have sex. How can you do that in the world of COVID?
Sex on the Flash?
Well, I mean,
Barry and Iris
wish.
are in bed together.
I mean, Barry.
That Barry and Eddie sex.
Yeah,
scene from
Barry
season one was
definitely
very
wanted to fuck
powerful.
Eddie Thawne in season 1. I'm just saying. I'm throwing that out there right now.
Remember when they were boxing? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, 37 in the new multiverse. Eddie Thawne married Barry Allen.
I think the thing is too, on top of that, because with a lot of COVID protocols, and Ashley, you can talk to this, how it's, if anything, 3 people at the most who have to be in a scene. Whereas when we're talking about the Flash, from what we know, that's Danielle Panabaker, who may come back because she's probably just had her kids, so she might not be back just yet. Carlos Valdez, Jesse L. Martin, Danielle Nicolette.
Well, think about Legends,
Candace.
the team show. How do you film?
Tom.
How do you film the team show when you had to have 7 people in the room on the Wave Rider?
They're all just standing at the different navigation.
I have a feeling they maybe
panels.
film them one at a time.
Well, no, that both. So you film scenes one at a time, but also you have everybody at different podiums. And you know how when we normally see them sitting down at the Wave Rider, all of a sudden now the seats are going to be distanced a little bit more.
And I think you're going to see a lot more stuff shot in close up.
Yeah.
You're going to let a lot less mediums and wides.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the biggest issue is the first maybe 1 or 2 episodes of each show is going to look completely different from everything else. Because remember, the first episode, well, no, actually, it'll be the same. I'm sorry. Because the season finales will all be shot under COVID protocols, which will now be the season premieres.
It's going to be weird. Either way, because what do we want? Do we want like Flash to address COVID? That's no fun.
Well, but also remember, Flash has to address Hartley Sawyer.
Oh fuck! I forgot.
Who is a major cast member?
So they said they're bringing him back just to be able to. They are going to bring him back to be able to close off the Sue Dearborn storyline. So basically, they are going to try to do that in the first couple of episodes.
I hope they do it in the first scene. I hope he's like, sorry, I'm dead. I can't ever come to work again. Goodbye.
The best fan theory I've heard about that, and I think it's a genius, is just somebody was like, they should write some weird storyline where somehow his powers go to Sue and Sue becomes the elongated woman. And I kind of was like, done.
That, or you do a thing where he changes his face one time and he's stuck in that face, but he can still use his powers to stretch.
Yeah. And then cast little.
He's permanently like new actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's permanently a new. I mean, it's weird, but it works when you.
It would work. It would work. You know what I'm saying? It's going to work a lot better than Batwoman.
Again, I can't. As much as I want Javicia to succeed,
I do too.
I want her to succeed. I'm happy for her being the first Black woman to be Batwoman on screen. I'm happy for what she is doing historically. However, she is going into the lion's den off of what the show is.
And like, the fans
the ratings were the greatest thing.
There's a chance too that, look, we all know that of these shows, Batwoman was nobody's favorite. Let's just put that on Front Street, which is fine. It's a Batman show. Like, there's a certain level of quality, but the writers and the producers behind the show have to service all the season 1 storylines at the same time while servicing the storyline of how do we make this brand new character seem viable as Batwoman. It's almost like they have to redo a brand new season 1, but still reference everything that happened before. It's a high mountain for them to climb. It's a very high mountain.
Battle for sure.
And that's the thing.
Like, it can't be done, and it doesn't mean it can't be done well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the problem behind it is, I think the biggest issue is, will fans give it 2 seasons to try?
I don't think so.
I don't know, though. There's a lot of people who seem enthused about it. Like, I actually think they might have more people on board with this than who were on board with Ruby Rose.
I see your point. And to be honest with you, I'm more favorable towards this type of Batwoman show than I was the Ruby Rose one. But I don't know. I don't think they will. I really think Batwoman is just. I thought Batwoman was going to be donezo once Ruby Rose was out. I was like, "There's no way this show is coming back."
Look, Supergirl got 6 seasons. We're going to get 5 seasons of Batwoman at least.
Well, you guys already know how things like this go, but I'll pull the curtain back for the listeners. Absolutely. She was always getting 2 seasons.
Most shows now are greenlit, for 2 seasons.
And also, you cannot give the first openly lesbian titled superhero show 1 season. You just can't.
Yeah.
Let's just be realistic. No matter what the situation is, you can't give her just one. You couldn't just give her 1 season without causing all types of uproar. Let's just, no matter how good or bad the show was. Well, like Jason said, when they were like Ruby Rose quit, I was like, well, there goes that 2-season theory.
What I thought.
There goes that 2-season theory. And then they were like, no. We're going to make a whole character. And you're like,
they were like, we've got all these producers in pay or play and all these actors from season 1 in pay or play. We're not going to pay them not to play.
It's just, again, I hope for the best.
Wild.
It's why, again, I think this has changed. This COVID-19, the pandemic in itself, has, as we've talked about from Marvel and DC, has changed how we're going to see a lot of stuff for at least the next 2-3 years.
Yeah. A lot of content's going to be, I think is going to feel weird.
But I think
not normal.
I think TV content, because again, I would be highly surprised if you're talking about movies that are filming in Australia that clearly they're good to go.
Yeah, sure.
Or having just 2 people. They're having everybody. You know what I'm saying? When we filming stuff here in LA, it's 2 people who signed up for, central casting, more than likely not working. Because there's no background stuff they're going to do. They're not going to have that crowd. But if you're in Atlanta, roll the dice.
The aspect of this is that even during COVID, everybody working from home in the post-production aspect is going to be slower, no matter what.
Pre-pro a little bit too, depending.
Yeah, it's going to slow it down on both. Like filming is just going to take longer because they can still activate their entire post-production staff. They can all be working at home. Maybe they switch off working in office, but it's still going to slow down the process because sound mixes and VFX final passes and all that stuff like that is going to be more difficult for showrunners and producers and executives to sign off on. So like it's going to make production all around just longer.
Yeah, because you got you have one, maybe 2 people in the room when normally you're trying to pass this with 3-4 people so everybody can spitball their ideas together and you can knock out a chunk.
I know. Now we're suddenly learning who doesn't know how to use Zoom and WeTransfer.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's so many people.
Look, this has changed a lot. I mean, it's again, we were used to doing podcasts all together. Now we're doing them via these, different platforms, which have been useful if you got a good internet connection, which I don't. And I'm gonna be editing the fuck out of this episode. But don't worry, I'm gonna make it sound real good. I hope to God. If not, I'm just gonna add SpongeBob.
You will, I believe it too.
Look, before I get out of here, I do have a couple of emails from the Mad Titan email where you can email me, madtitanpodcast@gmail.com, madtitanpodcast@gmail.com, and you can call the hotline, 818-276-6947, 818-276-6947. I don't have any phone calls, thank God, because I probably wouldn't be able to play them. So let's go to this email from the homie JL Phillips. He says, "What's up, Jay? I've been sitting there thinking about the future of the MCU and their track record of villains, and we all know it's only been 3 good villains in the MCU, and the rest they kind of shit the bed with. I will never forgive them for Ultron. Everybody knows they have to nail Dr. Doom and Magneto, especially Dr. Doom since they fucked him up like Debo did Red over the beach cruiser. That's a Friday reference. But if Marvel can nail Mr. Sinister, Omega Red, Sabretooth, or even down to the minor ones like Pyro, if the MCU can knock out the next batch of villains out the park, then it will be only 2 things DCU can do about it, and that's nothing to deal with it, damn it. Appreciate that. Says, I hope everything is good your way, pimping, and I feel you on not fucking with greens, but the dude who said that shit about Peach Cobbler, we need to find him. I'm from the country, and shit like that to get you fucked up. I bet he light-skinned. That's a whole black thing. That's just... It's a whole black thing. Thank you.
First of all, I'm just going to weigh on this as the white lady because that's my right. Greens are excellent. Who doesn't like greens?
Well, okay. I like kale, but I'm not a collard, mustard, and turnip green fan.
I'm with you, Jay. I'm with you.
You guys are crazy. Wait, are you an okra person?
Huh?
Are you an okra person?
Yeah. Only fried. Only
I like
fried.
okra.
Only fried. And again, my grandmother was from Birmingham, Alabama. So all the Southern country food and stuff like that, my grandmother and mom used to cook. And I used to be like, ain't this shit. But back to JL Phillips thing about the villains. I agree. They do have to nail. I believe they'll nail Dr. Doom because I think that's more important to nail than anybody else because Doom has been failed so long.
Yep.
But Marvel nails villains when they do villains that are complicated and interesting and have rich ties, right? That's why Loki is so beloved. That's why Killmonger is so beloved, because there's a depth to them that not a lot of other MCU villains have.
My only worry about Doom, and I don't think they'll do this. My only worry about Doom is if they Killmonger him. And by that I mean if they only use him for one movie and then kill him off.
Killmonger's coming back. I bet you.
But also, like, my other problem was who did Andy Serkis play? What was his name? Claw. I thought he could have been a villain that we could have seen, and he could have been like the villainous Coulson that we saw in all the Phase 3 movies. And I was actually really surprised they killed him off after 2 movies. But I think they're going to set up Doctor Doom across several movies, because I think you're right. I think they know, like we do, that like Doctor Doom is like very important, and Doctor Doom is an Avengers level villain if you treat him right.
Yes, he is. We're talking magic and technology together.
The second smartest man in the world is the most evil. That's a pretty powerful story.
That's a dangerous thing. So thank you, JL Phillips, and starting this argument again about greens. Appreciate it.
No, please, I was joking. I'm not an evil white lady.
All right, got this next email from Fred Castillo, who's one of the members of the Supervillain Squad. He says, "Hello, Mr. J. With everything going in the world, I'm happy you let us use this podcast as a distraction. With that being said, here goes my question. With simplicity being the key, what is the most practical way for the MCU to interject the X-Men or the Fantastic Four the quickest? For example, deviating from F4 lore, instead of them being transformed by cosmic explosion, couldn't they be transformed by either Thanos' or Tony Stark's snap? Thanks for reading my email and have a great week." I think we kind of addressed that. I think you have to do cosmic, but that's the thing. Cosmic radiation can't come from the snap because, again, time and space.
Yeah, why not?
I would
can
also,
put it in the script. Who cares?
The other idea for a simple road is Black Panther debuted in Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
so we could switch through that, and have them debut via Wakanda in some way.
It's fair.
And the easiest way to do the X-Men in the MCU is to not put them in the MCU, put them in their own pocket universe where they make a lot more sense. But Disney ain't going to do that.
You know how much people, again, we talked about this earlier. Jason said fans don't know what the fuck they want.
They don't.
That is one thing, though. That is one thing damn near every fan is clamoring for. And
I want to say that, and what I mean by that, is that fans always want the buffet. They want to, like, and I like buffets too, man. I want to eat so much peach cobbler and chicken and whatever the fuck you got until I get sick. But nobody enjoys being sick, and that's what you do. That's what the fans in terms of story. And again, I'm a fan too, man. Like, we want movie number 3, movie number 4, movie number 5, movie number 6, and you're like, no. It only works if the story ends. We love the Marvel MCU universe, and a big part of this is because they were all leading towards Endgame. Did you want 17 more movies with Captain America? That's what the fans would want, but the story, and because it's so great, is because Captain America goes away.
I would say it's the same thing with Watchmen, right? Watchmen, the television show, is a closed loop that actually doesn't confirm maybe the coolest thing about it, and we should never see any more of it.
You want a few bites of flame and yawn. You don't want to gulp it down. That's the. So I'm not insulting by anybody by that, but that's what I'm saying.
Meat. I don't know what red meat tastes like anymore. I miss red meat.
Well, Jay, it is delicious and tasty, and
I will ask you this question. So real quick, this is something I thought about and I heard about, and I really think about it. Did you know that Black Panther is not T'Challa's movie?
How do you mean?
It's Killmonger's movie.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that.
You know why? In the very beginning, that's Eric talking to Njobu.
Yes.
Yeah, that is fair.
Baba, tell me about the arc of the movie is Killmonger. He technically becomes the Black Panther. It's never said it's T'Challa. We automatically assume it's T'Challa's movie. It's Killmonger's movie.
That's why we like him so much.
Damn right we do. That about does all that and everything I got for this week. We have finally made it through. Thank God, the Lord. I'm looking at all the edits I wrote that I have to do, and Jesus, this is gonna be a minute. But nonetheless, before we get out of here and everything, and I close this out, please tell the people how they can find, pre-order Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio again, in case they missed it in the beginning.
If you liked anything that we talked about, if you value Jay's opinion, or if you just want to read it and then tell us how we're wrong and don't know about writing, as long as you pay for it, I don't care. You can get Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio everywhere that fine books are acquired. Local bookstores, local comic book stores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, Comixology. It is What If Kim Possible Met Men in Black, starring a now 17-year-old girl with a jetpack. There's an adorable kitty in it. This is the internet. You're going to love it, I promise. And you can follow all of the updates about Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio at Jupiter Jet Comic on Twitter.
And tell them how they can find the two of you lovely people.
I was going to say, first off, don't forget that you can also listen to both of us and our crazy opinions on our podcast, Geek History Lesson, where we break down one character or construct in a little bit less than an hour each and every week. Mr. Jay Washington has been on the show more than once. We love having him. So if you love the Mad Titan, come on over. You can find that wherever podcasts on your holes. And by that, I mean your ear holes. Oh, you thought I was going weird with it. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jawin, Jawin, or just Google Jason Inman. Where can they find you, Ashley?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ashley V. Robinson.
Yeah. And I also want to say that I am a proud member of the Supervillain Squad. So
you are, and I am about to bring that up. I wanted to thank everybody. If you can join the squad, if you could go ahead and join the squad right now, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. You are a producer of this show. Thank you, Jason. And
I'm so glad I booked myself.
I want to give a shout out to all the members of the squad: Adam Collins, Alberto Rios, Sedalia Chamberlain, Ashley King, AZ Badfish, Brian Kimmitt, Randy Parker, Brock Severson, Brian Lawson, California Joe, Chauncey Woodson, Cheryl Corbin, Christopher Connolly, Casa Nachalobe, Dan Bimke, David Adams, David Gaines, Deontay Clemens, Dizzle, DJ Snacks, Edward Wilshire, Fanboy Cantina, Fillmore Pockets, Fred Castillo, Greg Morrissey, Hank Staley, Hillary Nellums, Jay Beasy, Jake Icavetta, James Robbins, James Smart, Jared Simpson, that dude over there, Jason Inman, Jeffrey Chadorn, Jim Mason, Jim Payne, Joe Crack, John Mariano, John Lestrina, Justin Square, Kirstie Oliveria, Kyle Grandinetti, LK, Luis A. Torres, Marcus Kennedy, Marcus Burton, Mike Moore, Mikey Lito, Paisley Darts, Patrick Harden, Quentin M. Milrow, Randy Constance, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, Rudy Rueda, Samir Tesfaye, Steve Tozen, The Prince That Wasn't Promised, and Travis Earl. And to Samir, Randy, Rudy, Luis, Jim Payne, Joe Crack, Chauncey, and Alberto Rios, as well as AZ Badfish. Thank you all for being a member at the one-on-one with the Supervillain tier. If you have not checked those out, please check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY-Washington80. We sit down and we talk for at least an hour about whatever they want to talk about. And these have been very good and interesting conversations. So again, thank you to Ashley Victoria Robinson and Jason Inman. Make sure you check out everything they've got going on and check out Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio. And I will holler at you guys next week. Till then, take care. I'm out. Bye.